Back that 3-0 defeat in Madrid a fortnight ago. A virtual full house at Old Trafford awaits and hopes. Well, welcome to the second round, second leg European Cup winners match. Manchester United versus Atletico Madrid. We have live, exclusive and uninterrupted coverage here on Granada Television. Good evening. 2 weeks ago, of course, inspired by Schuster, Atletico Madrid sent Manchester United home with a 3-0 defeat. Manola scored one of the goals. Two came from Futre. Atletico's president, Jesus Gil, once signed a former Manchester United manager to look after things for him. It was a short-lived affair, perhaps a brief, torrid marriage, but he returned relatively unscathed, and tonight we will be keeping fingers firmly crossed that his other ex-charges here in Manchester can turn that 3-0 defeat around. As you've guessed, Rod Atkinson, welcome to the programme. You were here, of course, in '84 when Manchester United turned what seemed the impossible round.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that particular night, we were fortunate. We got away to a good start. We scored after about 25 minutes, Brian Robson, and we actually didn't play that well, but the crowd lifted us through.
Well, Brian Robson, of course, as we saw, was a crucial figure in that. He will be a crucial man again tonight, I'm sure, on. How disappointed are you that he's not going to be playing international football anymore?
Well, I was with the boys straight after the Turkey game. Obviously very disappointed, but I think he's made, possibly in his own interest, the right decision for himself.
Yeah. Of course, they've got to push forward, Manchester, and that means Futre. He's the man who could cause them more problems. He scored two before. He's a key man, isn't he?
Yes, very much so. Him and Manolo will play very well on the break. They're very quick. They're great individual players. And I think that's where United have got to be very, very careful.
Well, also tonight we will be calling in at Highbury. It's the European Cup second round, second leg there. Arsenal 1, Benfica 1 was the score in the first leg, a crucial away ground from Kevin Campbell. And of course Liverpool have been playing tonight. Indeed, they are playing. I think they've got to half-time in the game against Auxerre. We can just have a look at that. And in fact, at half-time, now Ron, there's a comeback. Mulby and Marsh, 2-0. Now 2-2, gives them a real hope, doesn't it?
Well, that's brilliant. I mean, Graham Souness will know they could not play as badly as they did out in France, and that's tremendous because, you know, I think the league's better with a good Liverpool side in it.
Right, well, it's kick-off time. Clive Tills is your commentator, and with him, former Manchester United player Gordon McTween. Clive, it's all yours.
Thank you, Bob. Outside the snug of your box, it's damp, but still Manchester night, still but far from quiet. Alex Ferguson has highlighted the part that the supporters can play, and this is the team that he's selected for them to back. Selected, hardly the word really, because his hands have been tied. The four non-English players, Blackmore, McClare, Hughes and Giggs. Ryan Giggs getting the final nod over Andrei Kanchelskis. Gary Walsh and Mark Robbins pressed into crucial roles. At least they're not completely new to the European arena. Ryan Giggs is still 3 weeks short of his 18th birthday. He's taken every challenge in its graceful stride so far. Bernd Schuster and Paulo Futre are the only two foreigners in the Atletico lineup. There are two changes from the first leg. A more defence-minded left-back in Tony and a central defender, Donato, back after a 4-match European suspension. But they're a counter-attacking team by nature, so defending a 3-goal lead is just the job for them. Guy Goethals is an important man tonight, the 39-year-old Brussels lawyer who had charge of Era's 3-3 draw in Poznan last month, a game in which the Republic were 3-1 up until late in the day. He has charge of the game this evening. Manchester United must boldly go where no English side has been before if they're to retain a grip on the Cup Winners' Cup. No Football League team has ever lost the first leg of a European tie by 3 clear goals. Who would have played that famous night against Barcelona but for injury is alongside me. Gordon, what have Manchester United got to get done by half-time?
Well, I think the Spaniards, to start with, will be a bit apprehensive about coming here to Old Trafford tonight, and I think it's very important if we could just get a goal in the first 45 minutes, and I think we'd see a rather nervous Madrid side here in the second half.
Well, a lot's been said about that quarter-final win over Barcelona. They only got one in the first half that night, but they scored 2 in as many minutes early in the second. In fact, they were 3-0 up with 37 minutes still to play that evening. They'd settle for that again tonight. Number 6 is Mike Phelan playing at right back. This is Vizcaíno playing at the heart of the Atletico midfield. The number 9, who is Schuster's minder. That's Gabriel Moya, who'll play in an attacking role down the left-hand side. And Atletico are committing Moya and Futre to attack. 5 at the back, 3 in midfield, and 2 up the front. Juanito, the sweeper, taking his time over the free kick. This is Moya. Foul given against Neil Webb. Manchester United do have Gary Pallister on the substitutes bench this evening, not fit enough to start. Danny Wallace could be another trump card late in the day. Solothau'Bal, unable to find Schuster, and here's Neil Webb for United. Mark Robbins. It's fallen for McClare. First touch in European football for Ryan Giggs. Checked by the Atletico hardman Tomas. They'll be seeing a lot of each other tonight. Robbins. Robson. Bruce. There's a frenetic urgency about United from the very first whistle. Onside, Ryan Giggs. Found beautifully by Neil Webb. Robbins, McClare and Hughes wait. Giggs just lost his footing for a moment. He's short of support. He's done well to come out of that with a throw-in. Pump up the volume is the message from Alex Ferguson. He's getting the support he wants, and he's got the first corner from Clayton Blackmore. Nothing he can do now but keep his fingers crossed.
Well, this is a situation here that Steve Bruce can be vitally important. Scores a lot of goals from these situations for United.
Giggs takes the corner. It's towards Hughes. Abel flapped at it somewhat. He's not the tallest goalkeeper in the world at 5'10". Bruce has lost out for a moment to Donato, but here's Robson. The clearance, an anxious one from Juanito. Manchester United trying to set the whole tone for the evening. Looking to pen Atletico in from the outset. Mike Phelan, who only returned to full training yesterday, and 3 or 4 of these United players patched up in necessity because of the importance of having Englishmen on the field. Clayton Blackmore, one of the overseas men, finding Brian Robson. 5 waiting for the cross. Hughes arriving! Less than 4 minutes! Your starter for 4 from Mark Hughes. It's his first goal for over a month. It could be the most precious he's ever scored for Manchester United.
Well, what a delight. Just the start United needed. Brian Robson picks this ball up here on the right. Controls, knocks the ball in with his left foot here. And Mark Hughes and Ryan Giggs waiting to pick this one up, knock it into the back of the net. The atmosphere here just now is fantastic.
Ryan Giggs would have had to manhandle Hughes out of the way if he wanted to get to that. It was Hughes's all the way, and he's popped the first one in, and United are off and running inside 4 minutes. It's just the start they needed.
Well, they're just not letting these Spanish defenders settle in the ball at all. And that was the tactics I'm sure Alex Ferguson wanted these players to come out and approach. This is the way he wanted them to go out and approach this game early on in the game. Just don't let them settle in the ball at all. And that's exactly what's happened. And a goal to boot.
It's Mark Hughes' first goal for United since the first round against Athinaikos. There's no visible sign of a change in Alex Ferguson's mood, but he'll be a much happier man deep down inside now. Mark Hughes has lit the fuse. Mission impossible suddenly seems possible.
Well, it's vitally important people like Paul Parker and Steve Bruce keep their discipline and don't get carried away in all this excitement.
Mountain to climb is the phrase that's always used in football in these circumstances, and it's very apt here tonight because one slip and Manchester United could be off the mountain. They mustn't concede a goal. They've got to tread that fine line between playing with passion and aggression and going for goal and keeping their discipline and concentration at the back, and Gary Walsh here will have a vital part to play in that. Away by Juanito. Little flick on from Manolo. Blackmore is first to it. Headed by Tomas. Leclerc has ridden the challenge. On goes Giggs. Vizcaíno is back there to cut out the danger momentarily. Leclerc finding Robson. Cut out by Tony. Here goes Futri on the break, and this will be quite a race between he and Paul Parker. They're both devilishly quick, but Parker just had a yard start.
Well, that was tremendously encouraging for the United defence. A long through ball, the type of ball that Manolo and Futri thrive on, but Paul Parker was equal to the task.
Well, Futri's the quickest they've got, and Paul Parker was quicker. This is Neil Webb. Cut out by Solothabal. Webb appeared to be impeded. He's got his free kick. What price another one here? Steve Bruce has gone a-hunting in the penalty area. Eight minutes played. Manchester United, 1 goal to the good on the night. Neil Webb with the free kick. It's in towards Bruce. He's won it too. Turned away by Donato. Manolo. Schuster, virtually the first we've seen of him. They're not going to give him time to settle, that's for sure. Webb with the throw. Robbins with a flick on. Header unconvincing. Bruce was almost in there. Nicked away from him by Tomas. Blackmore with a shot. Under pressure, couldn't guide it. But already panic stations in the Spanish rearguard.
Yeah, very much so. The Spaniards are defending desperately just now. And for a team that's famed for their defensive record so far this season in the Spanish League, they've been none too convincing in this early stages in the game.
But no wonder, because that 4th minute goal from Mark Hughes really has put the cat amongst the pigeons. And typically, Brian Robson it was who provided the scoring cross, and Hughes was in there ahead of Giggs. The perfect start, the perfect setup for the night. Moya. Atletico now pouring men forward on the break. Schuster finding Tomas in towards Futre. Juan McClair back there defending, and defending well. And Atletico have got 5 men committed downfield here. Robson to McClair. Might still find its way through to Robbins off Juanito. Donato seemed to know what he was doing. This is Ben Schuster. He's got Neil Webb for company though.
Well, he's certainly one player they can't allow to give any room whatsoever with his pinpoint passing and with Futri and Manolo's pace.
He's a bit of a loner, is Schuster. He rooms alone in the Atletico camp. He fell out with his national team manager, Jupp Derval, in Germany. He's fallen out with various managers down the years for Cologne and Barcelona and Real Madrid, but he is an individual by nature, and he's the sort of individual the United have got to keep an eye on. But all eyes are on the men in red at the moment. Already 1 up. Spaniards trained here last night and complained about the length of the grass. They were complaining about the match ball before they'd even seen it. Paulo Futre was making all manner of suspicious remarks about the referee before he even knew who he was. But they're getting on with their business now with Tony. Vizcaíno, nicely helped in. Vizcaíno seemed to be impeded there by Robson as he went for the return. This is Futre. Too long though for Moya.
Well, that was a sensational recovery tackle by Brian Robson there back in his own box. And if he's 34 and too old, I bet you Alex Ferguson wishes he had a few more like that.
He was just 27 years of age that famous night here in 1984 when he fired the win over Barcelona. But he doesn't play much differently now. And neither does Mark Hughes, crashing in there with a late challenge. Not played since the first leg. He's had to serve that domestic suspension. We thought he might be a little bit ring rusty. We were wrong. A goal in 4 minutes. Juanito's free kick seeking out Futre. Hooked away by Blackmore after the initial challenge by Parker. Here's Schuster. Good turn by Manolo. Futre has only Moya in the middle for the moment. Futre is very left-footed. And they just managed to force him into a rather awkward sort of cross, and Webb and McClare did just enough. Appeal for handball against Juanito. On by Moya. Vizcaíno. Schuster. Moya. Vizcaíno. Robson trying to get amongst it. Sold himself a little bit. Schuster has space. Vizcaíno. On towards Manolo. Away by Bruce. Free kick goes Atletico's way. Hughes penalised.
Well, full match to the Spaniards. I mean, they may be rattled defensively, but they're certainly willing to come out and play a bit of football here at Old Trafford tonight.
Not frightened to commit men forward on the break. Juanito with a free kick to Vizcaíno, trying his luck from long range. There's Schuster's mind-up. We heard all sorts of reports from Spain that he had gastroenteritis, that he had a huge hole in his ankle, that he has a heart condition, but he looks fit enough to me. It's amazing the mind games that these teams take on in the build-up to a big game like this in Europe. You can't believe anything until you see the players take the field. Atletico were very reluctant to release their team until the very last moment tonight. Tony with a throw. Gabriel Moya. Bruce first to it. Neil Webb. Mark Hughes. Brian Robson. McClare had made the break down the centre. Juanito with the header away. Solazabal almost lost that under his feet. Schuster all the way back to his goalkeeper Abel.
Well, they've just settled down a little bit now, the Spaniards, as I said, after a very shaky start indeed. And beginning to look a classy side, knocking the ball about in the middle of the park and breaking well.
This is Tomas, the right fullback. Ryan Giggs doing some good defending in the United cause. Tomas looking for Futre. Blackmore that time with the challenge. Interesting that Futre is playing out on the right. As I say, he's very left-footed, and they're going to have to watch him cutting in and trying to get shots on goal from there. But they push him on the outside, and he's unlikely to be able to get in the kind of cross that he would like. Hughes. He's really up for it tonight. Webb looking for McClare. Juanito, the last man for Atletico. Mike Phelan. Robbins just beat to it by Juanito, but looking for Giggs, and here's Hughes trying to play Giggs in again, but Donato was across in the nick of time. Schuster. Moya. Manolo. Futre against Parker again, and that's no contest at the moment.
That was a tremendous bit of defending. I think we're maybe a little bit concerned before the match with the absence of Gary Pallister. But Paul Parker's showed Futre a clean pair of heels on 2 occasions now.
McClare's found Hughes. Robbins and Giggs are in support. Hughes just got a nick there from Juanito. If he'd gone down a shade earlier, he might have got what the rest of Old Trafford were appealing for. Vizcaíno. Moya. Tony. Vizcaíno. Schuster. Futre. Manolo to his right. Tomas now popping up wide on the right-hand side. Scooped up by Gary Walsh. Well, Marcus just stumbled for a moment as Juanito made contact with him. And my goodness, if Hughes had gone down there rather than when he eventually went down, I think the referee would have been hard-pressed to have turned down the appeals, Gordon.
Well, I think he certainly made contact with Hughes in the first instance, but unfortunately, at the end of the Mark Hughes stayed on his feet and then made a little bit of a dive at the end of it all.
The jewel in the crown of United's glittering European record is their invincibility at home. 6 times during that unbeaten sequence they've won home ties by 4 or more goals, but never really against this class of opposition. That's what they've got to do tonight. They've had some notable 3-goal wins. Bilbao at Main Road in the very first season, then Dukla Prague, Anderlecht, and of course Barcelona here. But tonight they've got to go on better. They've made a great start. We've had 17 minutes, and Manchester United lead by 1-0 on the night, but trail 3-1 on aggregate. Mike Phelan. Away by Juanito, along by Schuster. Bruce spinning Vizcaíno to it. Donato to Schuster. Manolo unable to control his forward ball.
I don't think we'll see Gary Walsh here building up too much from the back. I think he's got a tremendously long kick and he'll be using that to United's advantage tonight.
Hughes underneath the latest boomer from the left foot of Gary Walsh. Ryan McClare. He's broken the challenge of Solofarbal. Possibilities here. McClare looking for the near post when everybody was far, but he's got a corner.
Just picked her own option there, Brian McClare. Ryan Giggs was in space at the back post, and if he maybe dinked one over to the back post, United would have another great opportunity to add to the 1 goal and scored already.
Neil Webb with the corner. Steve Bruce is forward. Goalkeeper's come a long way and made a good catch. This is the man who holds the world record for the longest run without conceding a goal. 13 games last season. Abel, the Atletico Madrid goalkeeper. Futre, the Atletico Madrid skipper. He slipped it in here to Schuster, who was looking for Futre with a little back heel, but Futre hadn't read him. A little bit of improvisation from Schuster. But not only fooled the defenders around him, he fooled his captain too.
Well, full mark to the Spaniards, because they're not prepared to just try and soak up United's attacks. They're also willing to come forward, and Schuster there in a very forward position.
Offside against Paulo Futre. United in a hurry to get on with it. Too much of a hurry, really. Steve Bruce's heart rather ruining his head there just for a second. Tomas getting forward from fullback. Parker inevitably across, spotting the danger. 20 minutes play. That 4th minute goal from Mark Hughes has reduced the aggregate deficit to just 2 goals. It's Mark Hughes' 6th of the season for United. Schuster finding Vizcaíno. Moya stretching his legs, but McClare, who's an absolute workaholic in the Manchester United cause, is back there to concede the corner kick.
Well, they're working extremely hard, United. We've seen Brian McClare back in defensive positions, Ryan Giggs, and of course Brian Robson with that magnificent tackle earlier.
That concentration all important here, with both Donato and Juanito forward from the back. That's Donato, with Brian Robson as a bodyguard. Steve Bruce it was who won it. Paulo Futre, charged down by Mark Hughes. Ryan Giggs, the sole man forward for Manchester United. Header away by Thomas, helped on by Juanito. Futre, Schuster hanging wide to his left, 3 waiting in the middle. And it's Vizcaíno arriving late in the day, who is flagged offside. Both the linesmen are from Belgium tonight. They have interesting occupations. One is a tax inspector, and worse still, the other is a maths teacher. Here's Mike Phelan. The referee felt that was a foul throw by Phelan. And again, just a little sign of Manchester United's impatience to get on with things. Moya. Free kick has actually gone Manchester United's way, and I think Moya found guilty of a little bit of play acting. Midway through the first half, Steve Bruce with the free kick. Headed away by Donato, on by Vizcaíno. This is Manolo, who scored that painful third goal in Madrid a fortnight ago, but as Thomas got forward, so Giggs got back. And what a rapidly maturing young man this is. He's been named in every game for Manchester United this season, bar their European ties. But nothing seems to faze him at all. He just gets on with his business as if he's been wearing that red number 11 shirt for years. Futre. Parker didn't get the ball that time. Advantage played though. This is Gabriel Moya. And Atletico are unable to take advantage. Ron Atkinson, most interested spectator. What a start Manchester United have made.
Yes, dream start. Very important now that they don't try and rush the game. They've got a long old time now to pull those 2 goals back. And I would suggest they make sure that the Spaniards don't get another goal. And in fact, if it needs to go to the sound of the trumpets, wait till the last 20 minutes before they start a cavalry charge. They're doing okay at the moment, but they've got to be careful now. The Spaniards are starting to get their passing game going.
Headed by Clayton Blackmore. Ryan Robson. Ryan McClare. Blackmore. Hughes went down on the edge of the penalty area, unable to make any impression on Tony, but it was shoulder to shoulder. Here's Tony, the left back. Schuster in support. Trying to play Futre in. He got in his shot ahead of Parker that time. Goal kick. But if Paul Parker won the first 2 races against Futre, then that short 6-yard sprint went Futre's way, and he got an effort in on goal.
I think Paul Parker just done enough here to slightly put him off, but I'll be a little bit concerned about the amount of ball that Schuster's getting just now and what he's doing with it as well. He's using it to great effect.
They're almost tied together tonight. Webb with the flick on. McClare. Hooked away by Solazaba. Blackmore's got it back. Now Schuster. 4 forward in the attack. It's 4 against 3 here for a moment in Atletico's favour. Bert Schuster. He's delayed a long time and he was just unable to find Futre thanks to Steve Bruce, who made an heroic intervention in the Manchester United cause. Mark Hughes. But Alex Ferguson's well aware that United have got to take chances. He said as much yesterday. There'll be a little bit of gung-ho about us tonight, he said, but it's worth the risk. Everybody understands it's a difficult job. We've just got to go for it.
I think at the same time they need to be extra careful at the back. You've seen Clayton Blackmore pushing forward there, get caught in possession, and we ended up in a situation with 4 Spaniards against 3 United defenders.
Attack is the chant from the Stretford end. United almost being blown forward by their most loyal supporters down behind Gary Walsh's goal. A goal that's coming under threat again by another carefully engineered Atletico break. Paulo Futre in possession. Vizcaíno. Manola couldn't control it. Blackmore got to the ball first. Well, the free kick has gone Atletico's way. Clayton Blackmore was a wee bit unfortunate there. Vizcaíno got the award. Paul Parker losing out to Moyer inside his own penalty area, but Moyer had no support. Gordon McQueen, are you a little surprised at just how many men Atletico are prepared to commit to attack?
Yeah, very much so, because I fully expected them to try and just sit back, play a sweeper, time-wasting tactics, passing the ball back to goalkeepers, and that just hasn't happened at all. And they're putting a lot of pressure on Clayton Blackmore there with terrific breaks down the right.
Both teams have lost the leadership of their domestic championship since the first leg. United, of course, regained top spot in England on Saturday. But Atletico are now a point behind Real Madrid in Spain. And Futre actually said that their 1-0 win over Osasuna on Saturday represented their poorest display of the season. Not exactly coming here in the peak of form. Robinson able to squirt the ball back to Blackmore. Bruce to Parker. Wasn't the pass that you're right a thank you letter for, but Futre was offside.
Yeah, he was well and truly offside there, but it would be just nice if United could put a little bit more pressure on the Spaniards and keep them in their half. But in saying this, it's a lot easier saying that than doing it when they've got so many good players.
We really do want them to be all things at both ends of the field, don't we? Hughes to Giggs. Robson bursting into the penalty area. Down he went under pressure from Tomas's challenge. No, says the referee, who was pretty well positioned. Brian Robson certainly felt that it was worth an appeal. Ben Schuster. Paulo Futre. Steve Bruce with him this time, and Bruce is there first. Must admit, my feelings was that less of a convincing appeal than the first one, although none of them touched the ball.
I think the referee was perfectly right there with the Brian Robson decision. I don't think it was a penalty at all.
Guy Goethals very much in charge. Robson with a free kick. In towards Bruce, who definitely got a nudge there inside the box from Juanito. Unseen though by the referee. Webb has got a free kick, but Gordon McQueen, your instincts are exactly the same as mine then.
There was no doubt in my mind about that there. Steve Bruce, they blocked his run and pushed him in the box. They've obviously heard about his aerial threat. That was a definite penalty kick.
Neil Webb with a free kick. Half an hour gone. 1-0 Manchester United lead on the night. Header away by Juanito. Back in there by Blackmore. It ran all the way through. Steve Bruce was offside.
I think things are getting a little bit hectic at these set pieces now. I see 1 or 2 elbows flying around in that set piece situation. They're obviously very worried. I've obviously heard about Steve Bruce's reputation of scoring goals.
It was Donato who was with him in actual fact, and down Bruce went, but what could the referee see from there?
Well, it's never easy for referees, but it was a penalty nevertheless.
4 goals in Europe last season, plus a claim to 1 in the final, Steve Bruce. He's absolutely prolific for a defender. Here's Mark Hughes. Clayton Blackmore. Mark Robbins at least has forced a throw in. Juanito there, the sweeper. Blackmore volleying it in, it hit Giggs. Vizcaíno trying to dribble his way out of trouble. And succeeding. Tony. Schuster was a long way forward again there, but it's cut out by Blackmore. Webb. Solathabal. And Vizcaíno and Juanito is calming it down and trying to run down the clock.
Very difficult for strikers, young Mark Robinson and Mark Hughes here in situations like that. Playing against man-to-man markers and of course a sweeper tucked in behind the two markers. Very difficult indeed for them.
Donato. Paulo Futre. Parker again in charge. He's certainly got it on points at the moment. But Futre is the sort of striker who can deliver a knockout from nowhere. Blackmore. Giggs. Vizcaíno. Not the best of headers. Webb forced it forward, and Vizcaíno jumped into him, and Manchester United have a free kick. He couldn't control the first header. He wasn't sure where the ball had gone. He was jumping rather desperately, and he jumped into Neil Webb.
Yeah, Vizcaíno made no attempt whatsoever there to play the ball. Just turned his back on the whole thing.
Free kick to Manchester United. It's in Clayton Blackmore territory, this, and he's standing just behind Brian Robson. Robson in towards Steve Bruce, just beaten to it, but it's come out as far as Webb. In towards Hughes, it came off the defender Donato, and he'd no idea where it was going, and where it went was into the side netting for a Manchester United corner. Neil Webb shakes his head in frustration. He's got the short corner though. Turned away that time by Tony. Paul Parker. United having to retreat to stay onside, have nobody wide. Solathabal. Hughes making it so difficult for him. His foot was high. Well, if you'd said at the start of the night that after 34 minutes Manchester United would be leading by 1-0, I think Alex Ferguson would have settled for that. But the fact that their goal came so early from Mark Hughes after just 4 minutes rather sharpened our appetite for more immediately. And United, despite a couple of close shaves and a couple of strong penalty appeals, have just been unable to force the initiative since that ideal start.
They certainly look a particularly dangerous team in the counter-attack. I must say I've been very impressed with their performance so far, although, as we've said before, in the early stages of the game, the defence was in tatters. But they've settled down rather well now, unfortunately, for United.
Well, they've still only conceded one league goal at home. The Barcelona goal by Hristo Stoichkov, which gave them their only defeat in the Spanish First Division 10 days ago. That's the measure of the opponents the United face tonight. And the quality of the defence that they're trying to pierce. Hughes, who's done it once. Giggs. Early in towards Robbins. Header away by Tony. Webb beautifully delivered to Brian McClare. 5 queuing up for the cross. Not there, though. Vizcaíno turned it away. Bruce. Offside. Might have been Ryan Giggs on the far side. I think he was the furthest forward.
It's vitally important that when you do break forward, like the situation Brian McClare was in there, that you do get good quality crosses in and put the Spaniards under some kind of pressure. I'd also like to see Ryan Giggs get a bit more of the ball and having a go at Thomas.
10 minutes of the first half remaining. Clayton Blackmore finding Brian Robson. Ryan Giggs has a free kick. Blackmore. Webb doing well to get a touch on. Robbins just unable to control it under pressure from Tony. This is Moya. Vizcaíno. Break down the centre by Manolo. Gary Walsh is committed. Manolo's gone round him. He's turned it towards the goal, but Blackmore's there. Well, Gary Walsh made his mind up to come, and Manolo got there just ahead of him. But Clayton Blackmore, who made that dramatic last-minute clearance off the line from Laudrup in the final in Rotterdam, made another important one. Foutre, headed by Neil Webb. Biggest scare yet for Manchester United. Tony, Bruce taken calmly on the chest.
It's just such a tremendously difficult situation that Manchester United are in. They've got to chase the game and at the same time try and keep things tight at the back. We've already mentioned Manolo and Futra, tremendous pace and always a big threat.
Here is Manolo, the one that got away for Atletico Madrid and for their number 7. 4 in the first round against the Norwegian side Fillingen, 1 in the first leg here, or over in the Vicente Calderón against United, and nearly another one here. Vizcaíno. Mike Phelan. Robbins just got there ahead of Solothamba, but he couldn't direct it to Hughes, and Juanito is able to probe and look for Foutre. Nobody within 25 yards of him at the moment. Now Moya's getting into the box, and now Manolo is popping up here inside the United box. Foutre taking over again. Tackled by Blackmore. And Steve Bruce just had a word with Foutre, who does have a reputation for being a bit of a diver. And certainly Bruce felt that he was guilty then. Blackmore won the ball cleanly. Mark Hughes going in on a Bell, who just managed to get a foot to the ball. Brave goalkeeping there. It's never been less than lively, this match. Bruce. Ryan Giggs has got space. Oh, he just couldn't get a toe to it. That's all it needed with that Bell committed. He had his back to the goalkeeper. He couldn't really have known where he was. He was just stretching out and hoping to get a touch. And Bell was hoping against hope that he didn't.
Well, that was a great pity. It was a delightful little ball in here for Brian Robson. He just gets caught off balance a little bit. That was an opportunity, a good one.
The margins are so slim at this level. The margin between success and failure. United could have had 2 or 3, but they could have conceded a goal, and that in itself could be fatal. They are 1-0 up on the night. They are 3-1 down on aggregate. And Moya has got away from Bruce here. A real chance for Atletico. Oh, what a mess he made of it. Gabriel Moya, instead of trusting his left foot, went with his right. And what a good decision it was from Manchester United's point of view. But that's twice now in the last 5 minutes the United have been undone. Moya here having the best chance of all. Tony, cut out by Bruce, who just got caught for once then. Corner kick. Alex Ferguson wants every minute available to him tonight, but I have a feeling he wouldn't mind the half-time whistle right now, just to settle it down. He's got 5 more minutes to wait. Schuster with the corner. Headed by McClare, forced the ball back to the edge of the 6-yard box, but Parker and Blackmore were there as a second line of defence. I was saying earlier that Vizcaíno, the Atletico number 9, is rumoured to have a heart problem. That is not a problem to have on a night like this. I think we've all got heart problems tonight.
They're just so dangerous in their counter-attack, the Spaniards. Steve Bruce got caught out there, as you mentioned. The wind's got up a little bit, and I think it probably deceived them. Caught in the wind a little bit, but very close to getting punished there. Which would be a great shame, because they've put so much into the game, United, so far.
It's such a tall order, and it's being like set 400 to win a test match. As you go for the runs, there's a chance you might lose a wicket or two, and that's the conundrum that Manchester United have got somehow to unravel. They've got to go for goals, but they daren't concede one. And they've got another foothold deep inside Atletico territory.
Well, this is a situation we're looking to take advantage of. You mentioned earlier with Steve Bruce getting up into the set-piece situations.
Bruce is inside the penalty area. Brian Robson with the free kick. It's in towards Leclerc, came off with Vizcaíno. Awkward header for Solazabal. Bruce trying to get in amongst it. Abel eventually laid claim to it. Ben Schuster. Manolo making the break down the centre. Parker came to meet him. Schuster's run through them all here, but Parker got in a second bite. Gobbled up the ball. Brian Robson. Last 3 minutes of the first half. Mike Phelan venturing forward. Neil Webb. Vizcaíno got back to make the challenge. This is Moya. Foutre. And Bruce is running away from him there for a moment. He's turned him here as Foutre. It's a dangerous cross. Just behind Manolo. Schuster. Manolo had gone on, but Robson did enough there just to force Schuster into an uncontrolled pass.
Looks a little bit special, Foutre. But so far, Paul Parker and Steve Bruce are doing a reasonably good job on them. Paul Parker in particular having an outstanding match.
We've heard a lot about the Atletico president, Jesus Gil, and Paulo Foutre is a very special player to him, because when Gil made his bid for the presidency, it was on the ticket of bringing Foutre to Atletico. Foutre and Cesar Luis Menotti, the Argentine World Cup winning manager, and Gil was elected on the strength of that ticket. So when Paulo Foutre goes to him and asks for a new contract worth £1.1 million a year, as he's doing at the moment, he might feel as though he's justified. It's not a bad wage in these days. Tony. Foutre, whose claim is that is what Schuster is getting, so he deserves it too. Moya. Head away by Blackmore. Solazabal. Moya. Tony. Seeking out Schuster. Outfoxed Ryan Giggs there. But full marks for the young Welshman again.
That was terrific defending. One European superstar.
Well, he's
getting tackled by one that's going to be a superstar.
He's had 6 minutes of international football, that's all. I think he's going to get a bit more next week against Luxembourg. But as I said at the start of the game, everything that's asked of Ryan Giggs, he just seems to answer most naturally. Last whistle of the first half. Manchester United got an absolutely perfect start. A goal inside of 4 minutes, created by Brian Robson and scored by Mark Hughes, the two survivors of that great win over Barcelona. They've set the same kind of tone for tonight. They've reached the same stage at half-time, a goal to the good, but they need to find an extra one tonight. 1-0 Manchester United lead on the night. They're still 3-1 down on aggregate, but they've made a start. You'll be able to see them finish after this break.